Tonight's homework starts reviewing the process for long division. So my first problem up here, I have 251 divided by 3. So I first think to myself, can 3 go into 2? And it can't. So then I group the first two numbers together and I think, can 3 go into 25? And it can go in 8 times. And then I multiply to know that that was 24. And then I want to subtract to figure out my remainder of this part. 25 minus 24 is 1. And I bring down my next number, and I start the whole process over again with my new number of 11. So I think to myself, how many times does 3 go into 11 without going over? And that's 3, because 3 times 3 was 9. And then if I subtract 11 minus 9 is 2, and because I don't have any other number to bring down, that is my remainder. So I have 83 remainder 2. My next problem, 456 divided by 8. I first think, can 8 go into 4? And it can't. So I think, how many times can 8 go into 45? Well, I know 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48, and that's too big, so it must be 5, which I said was 40. And then I subtract to find my remainder. 45 minus 40 is 5. And I bring down my 6. How many times does 8 go into 56? Is 7, because 7 times 8 is 56. So this time I have 0 remainder. For my next one, I think, how many times can 4 go into 6? And in this case, it can go in once. And 1 times 4 was 4. So the remainder for this part is 2. Now I bring down my next number so I can start over again. And I think, how many times can 4 go into 22? And I believe the closest I can get is 5. And 5 times 4 was 20. So then I subtract, and I get 2. And when I subtract, this number is a good checking point. As long as this number is smaller than what I'm dividing by, I'm good to continue. But if I would have picked a number that subtracted and gave me like 6 or 8 or something like that here, that means that I could have had another group. So I need to go back a step and add another one. In this case, it's 2, and 2 is less than 4. So I'm going to bring down my 0, and I have to do it one more time with my new number of 20. How many times does 4 go into 20? Well, we just figured that out, that was 5. And so I have no remainder. Okay. Let's look at the problems on the back. 838 divided by 2. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 4 times 8 is 8. So this first part, I don't have any remainder, but I still need to bring down my 3 and keep going. So my new number is just 3. 2 goes into 3 once. 1 times 2 was 2, and I subtract 1, and 1 is less than 2, so I can keep going. 2 goes now into 18 9 times, and 9 times 2 is 18, and I have 0 remainder. My next one, 5 can't go into 3, so I need to think, how many times can 5 go into 34? The closest I can get is 6. 7's pretty close, but it's over, so I can't use it. 6 times 5 is 30. If I subtract that, I get 4. I'll do my check. 4 is less than 5, so I'm going to bring down my next number and think, how many times does 5 go into 45? That's 9. 9 times 5 is 45, and I have 0 for my remainder. My next one, 777 divided by 6. 6 goes into 7 once. 1 times 6 was 6. I subtract, and I have a remainder of 1 so far. That's less than 6. So I bring down my 7 and start my process over again. 6 goes into 17. I'm going to say 2 times, because 3 times 6 is 18, and that's too big. So I get 12. 17 minus 12 is 5, which is close but still less than 6. So I bring down my 7 and I do it one more time with my new number. 6 goes into 57. 9 times 6 is 54. And I'm going to subtract. And in this case, I do have a remainder of 3. And my last problem, 3 goes into 4 once. And 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1 for that remainder, which is less than 3, so I bring down my 9. And I start over with that. 3 goes into 19 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract and get 1. And then I bring down my 6, and I do it one more time with my new number. 3 goes into 16 5 times. And 5 times 3 was 15. And then I subtract, and in this case I also have a remainder of 1. So 165 with a remainder of 1. That's our long division practice for tonight. It's those same steps. We just repeat it every time we bring down. We start that division step all over again.